Is Widow's Bay cursed by witches or something otherworldly?
Was Patricia actually visited by the Boogeyman, or is she trying to get attention?
And considering Bubba's fascination with Patricia, is she better off staying in Widow's Bay with the rep of a mass drug doser or being the mother of Bubba Jr.?
We'll answer all those questions and more on this podcast, Double PHQ's coverage of Widow's Bay.
What town doesn't have a checkered past?
Welcome to our Widow's Bay podcast. My name's Bubba, and with me is someone who always is ready to serve the punch now. It's Catfish.
Bubba, I'm pleased to be with a guy, as always, who has never failed to tell me when there's something in my teeth, something on my nose, or whether I'm wearing a dead animal on my head. Hey, help a friend out here.
One time. Guys, we're going to be breaking down the 4th episode of Widow's Bay entitled Beach Reads,
AKA the Wicker Man episode.
On this podcast, we're going to get some sunset cocktails, hop in Patricia's Pattiwagon, get it, for some free books, and break down what's real and what's just all in the characters' minds to figure out what's happening on this island.
Oh, Bubba, I am so excited. I love it.
Now, I do have to offer a mea culpa right here at the beginning.
Finally.
This podcast is coming out a little late. Why? Catfish and I, we do this for fun. Last week, I was out of the country and couldn't record when I needed to. So this podcast is coming out approximately 4 days late. So if you're listening here in 2026, we apologize. I'm going to be out of the country again in 3 weeks. So we're really going to have to juggle to get all the podcasts we want out for you guys. Know that because we have some podcasts coming out late as we cover Widow's Bay, we're going to try to do some value-added stuff, like really include your thoughts, your great theories in the podcast. Plus, because we come out a little late, we can read up all the interviews from series creator Katie Dippold and try to bring you some extra insight. In fact, on this episode 4, Catfish, she told the Wrap, one of the things I always think about with Patricia is the thing that's scarier to her than the idea of dying is the idea of dying and no one caring about it. That brought in the one thing we're always trying to do when we're using these horror tropes, which is tell a story about a character who's feeling very real human emotions. What do you think, Catfish?
I mean, we all would like someone to care when we go, don't you think, Bubba?
Please, especially the ambulance driver. Faster.
Somebody.
Catfish, you were really high rating of the first 3 episodes. I really enjoyed them, but I, for whatever reason, was a bit more measured. So
we know exactly what reason you demanded more, Patricia.
Okay, well, let's go to you first, though. What is your rating for episode 4?
Well, I'm going to give this one 10.1 out of 10 sextuple peas.
Wait, sextuple peas?
Yeah, that's Patricia's psychedelic party / Patricia's power play. Her power play to shut down the Elks Lodge. So good. I love it. Now, look, this is at least in part saying more about me than the show, but it's also partially the show. I have not enjoyed just pure enjoyment on rewatching episodes for a podcast this much since we did Ash versus the Evil Dead. There's a commonality there. I love horror. I love comedy. I love when you smash it together. But there are so many funny, scary bits that you can catch on a rewatch. Bubba, within 10 seconds of rewatching this episode, I saw the Pattiwagon, which I did not see before. Patty's bookmobile, we call it the Pattiwagon. It is so good. And look, it's not a huge joke, but there's little stuff like this littered throughout these episodes, and I am so pleased that, unlike there are some shows I love to binge, this is definitely a show where I'm happy it's going to come out week by week. It is great to be able to sit in what's going on, think about what's going on, stew about what's going on until we get the next episode. Now, I want to say, last week you said 2 things that were contradictory to each other. You said, I wonder if this can keep up, while also saying, it's not as scary as I thought. Well, I say those 2 things are enmeshed together because they can keep it up because they are ramping up. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call this show a slow burn, but it is really ramping up here. We've got the gang all together. We've got the reveal in this episode when the sheriff comes in and Patricia sees what's been going on. Amazing. The people's mouths open as they go towards the bonfire. Amazing. And we did get, I had people ask me, when is this show set? It really feels like it's set in the 70s. I think there is something weird going on with time, but we did get a little bit, got confirmation of that we're at least into the 2010s. Now that we know that Patricia was of the age of the girls were in the 90s when the Boogeyman got them. So depending on when it is in the 90s, how old Patricia is now, I feel like we're at least in the 2010s, despite all available evidence. I mean, also, Bubba, also the sheriff, when somebody comes in and says, what's going on? And he's like, look, I'm paying attention. I'm not just sitting here watching Footloose. Footloose as a reference. Holy cow.
Man.
Bubba, 10.1 out of 10. All you were asking for was more Patricia, and you got it. So you better bring it high this week.
Well, 10.1 out of 10 is a bit ridiculous, Catfish. I'm not sure it's mathematically possible. But because this episode focused on my girl, Miss Bubba, a.k.a. Patricia, I'm going to have to rate it higher than you did. I'm giving it 9 triple P's out of 10.
Wait, hold on. 9 is not higher than 10.1.
Catfish, are you listening? I said 9 out of 10. Look at this incredible rating.
All right, wait. Out of what? They were what?
Triple P's.
Oh, triple P's. Okay,
yes.
What is that?
Now, do you remember last week when we covered the first 3 episodes, I rated it double P for Patricia Perfection.
Right.
So this episode is triple P's. That's 1 more P for Patricia Perfection. That is how good this show was. I want to send those evil mean bees, those mean girls, Chris, Lenore, Ruth, Shelby, and especially DJ Dale, to hell. What they did ruining Patricia's cocktail will never be forgiven. Now you're like, well, why didn't you go 10 out of 10? You obviously love this episode. And listeners, I did love this episode. Why only 9? Well, as I mentioned, I am a scaredy cat. I creep out. The only time I was scared in this episode is when that guy with the beard was hitting on my girl Patricia. I was like, hey, wait a minute. That's my job. So 9 out of 10. Let me say that the character, I know people are like, why are you so crazy about Patricia? And I just had this completely random thought come to my head. Patricia is the kind of girl who makes you want to open a can of spinach, swallow it down, and then beat up Bluto.
Jeez. That is such an original thought. I have never heard that before. Bubba, she was fabulous in this episode.
Yes.
Her craziness, the dancing was really something fabulous. Fabulous. She was doing a lot of hands near the face thing. It was amazing. Bubba, we got to say, this is written by Mackenzie Dorr and directed by Severance veteran Sam Donovan.
Great job.
I love the writing. I love the directing. I love this show. It is so much fun.
Now, Catfish, I am teasing about being scared of one scene. What, for you, was the most frightening thing in the episode? Was it seeing all those, kind of brain-dead people walking out into the water with the Wicker Man-like statue behind them? Was it seeing Patricia in the mirror with the antlers? Holy smokes. You love horror. What was the creepiest horror thing?
All right, so we've got a few creepy things. We see the sheriff okay, Patricia was sitting there reading the book for 6 hours.
Man.
We have the mirror. That is when she's giving her speech and they go by the mirror and everyone's mouth is just wide open. Mm-hmm. We've got the Patricia hat / book reveal and then the people in the water with their mouths open marching towards the fire. Bubba, for me, and I don't know whether it's scared, but my favorite moment of the episode is this is always just so delicious and inside my stomach and I get a tingly feeling when there is a reveal, when all of a sudden the entire paradigm changes because a character reveals something or we see something completely different than it's been portrayed. That is delicious. And so the hat and the book, that whole thing was just like, I mean, just my whole body quivering with happiness.
It was great. For me, though, I'm going to go kind of crazy off the board when we're talking about our favorite scene, our biggest scare. The very first shot in this episode, Patricia sitting in the back of the Pattiwagon as the camera slowly pulls away from her. Literally, that first shot, I was like, I'm in. I'm so in. This is my jam. Let's go. I like, sometimes, with any story, it's this, hey, I've got to give myself over to the narrative, over to the mood, over to whatever. That first shot, I'm like, I'm all in, boys. Let's roll. I loved it.
So good.
Now, we did, Catfish, have a very kind of interesting question that is hung over this episode. And when you're talking about reveals, when Mean Chris, I believe it was, really rips into Patricia about, hey, my friends actually died in Patricia's, telling, hey, wait a minute. They checked the phone records. She never got a call. There's probably no way, based on the 4 episodes, we can really tell. But when you hear Patricia tell the story about how I was almost one of them, I got the calls, the weird breathing, the hang-ups, I hid under the bed. What do you think? Was Patricia actually visited by this boogeyman, or is she really, so lonely that she's doing it for attention? What says you?
Okay, hashtag I'm wearing the pin, I believe Patricia, not the mean girls. And now I don't know whether they just plan this or we're gonna find something that this never going to be paid off. But it did bring me a little question, like, why didn't he take her? Yeah. Also, is it possible that she actually felt rejected? And so this is kind of the way she doesn't have confidence right now because she's like, no, man, not even the Boogeyman would take me. Damn it.
I hid in the most obvious place. He didn't even bother to look.
I was age appropriate.
I always believe Patricia.
Yeah.
Always. Everything she says, I bow down and say, yes, queen. She is my girl. And because we've seen that, people can experience things that other people are like, what are you doing? Like last week when Mayor Tom was swimming his heart out in a 5-inch puddle on the shoreline. So I do believe it happened, but I would love to believe that there's a why, which you brought up. I would love it. I hope there's a why. Sometimes shows like this can get into trouble when we're like, oh, we got to lay down all the rules and all the mythology. But 4 episodes in, I have complete faith in this crew. They're doing a great job.
All right. I mean, it's not obviously you're very Patricia-centric on this show. I won't mind if we don't get it. But I just love the idea that it's something else for us to think about. Now, Bubba, listen. This is an island full of I don't know if you'd call them delightful. I think the most generous way you could say is it's an island full of quirky people.
Oh, yeah.
But every week, someone rises to the top of the quirk and becomes our island MVP of the week. Bubba, who is your island MVP of this week?
Well, listen, I give everything to Patricia. So I kind of want... just for clarity's sake, I kind of would give some support to Sheriff Clemens' wife. Though she hasn't appeared, hey, is she real? We'll have to find out. I loved that little scene outside what I believe was the ice cream parlor where, like normal people in this world with all these quirky characters. Like so far, Sheriff Clemens really hasn't had that weird quirk. He's like our normal person to make all the quirkiness seem crazy. So for that, great. And also, she likes the same ice cream I do. So for that, my island resident of the week is Patricia.
Bubba, I mean, we had so many funny lines I did not even put in. What was just a standard funny line, which was when he says, what about the place where I'm going to brew my beer? And she says, what a funny way to ask for a divorce. It's really cute bit. Bubba, obviously the MVP of the week, and it's a little bit contradictory to what I said earlier, but listen. Yeah. Sometimes your friends do things that you don't agree with. that you're just like, I know this is right, but like, you got to support your friend.
Amen.
So for supporting the absolute lunacy, I'm giving it to Rosemary this week. What a friend, Rosemary. All right, you're like, I'm not sure about this, but hey, okay, if that's your jam, go right ahead.
You know what, Catfish? I love your saying that. I also, a part of me wants to see when Rosemary said, I have no idea what you just said in that speech.
Exactly.
Don't you want to hear what Rosemary heard? Don't you want to hear?
I mean, she's reading from the book.
She
She's
is.
reading from the book. The people are all drugged up, and now they're ready to follow her straight into the bonfire.
So
or not
good.
even follow her. They will precede her into the bonfire. That's how excited they are.
That's a great Island MVP. Hey, listeners, we talked about your feedback. We want to hear it. So what was your biggest scare in this episode? Who is your Island MVP for episode 4? You can go down on those YouTube comments. We read every one of them. We want to include them here in the show. So give us your comments. If you're on social media listening to the audio podcast, be sure to drop us a line at PHQ. The word doubled, single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters on every social media app. Search for us, find us, and tell us what you thought of this great show that in this episode really made us laugh, Catfish.
Holy cow. Well, now, first of all, we've got to, as we were talking about, we're going to go over the funniest bit of the week, but we got some feedback on the funniest bit of last week from Ella Fieldepops, who said, when the sea hag is catapulted by the reclining chair, absolutely killed me, with 5 laughing emojis.
Oh, man.
So good. Bubba,
Yeah.
funny, but also cringy, some of these things. As Patricia takes the group photo and she says, say wine and cheese, and not one person said anything.
So brutal.
But what about you? You noticed something about this episode that I didn't even think about. That's so brilliant.
This was hurtful. In the book, in this terrible book, Your Turn, at the beginning, there's the worksheet where it says, fill out, what do you love about yourself? And there are 2 lines underneath that question where you can fill out what you love about yourself. Then the next question is, what don't you love about yourself? And there are 10 lines underneath that question. How brutal. Mean book.
More stuff from the book. The book says, feeling like you could die tomorrow and no one will notice? Well, that could be.
Terrible.
Another thing that comes out of nowhere, Bubba, before we get to the book again. Patricia's reading the book, and there's just like a bike crash behind her. Just random 2 guys, wide road, and they just end up crashing into each other.
Terrible.
But then the book says it's going to be a success because it's your turn.
Yep.
Unless their turnout is low. That's a verdict on your social value.
Who? Terrible author. Author notes, this is terrible. At the party.
Yeah.
You know, Patricia's trying to get these newbies involved. Like, hey, finally somebody's shown up to the party. Have you met Dr. Morgan? I'm sure he'll have a great medical story. And then, he's not quite feeling the social norms. He says,
I'm off the clock, Patricia.
No.
He yells at her. Now, this might have been ADR, but another great thing, and sometimes the subtitles are great here, that's immediately followed by Ruth as they're walking away. She says, I got a good one for you. It started in the foot.
terrible. Terrible. Now, once again, you got to watch the screen. You can't have a second screen experience while watching the show, looking at your phone.
No.
Because, you know, this episode is kind of overlapping with episode 3.
Absolutely.
And so we see Sheriff Clemens having just talked to the mayor, and you see the notes he took from talking to Mayor Tom. His notes were, victim, old woman, possibly damp, faster than old woman should be. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Oh,
Is
my
that
God.
cold?
And then Patricia.
Oh, my God.
And as soon as DJ Dale starts playing the music, it's a switcheroo because it's an ad for something. And she says, why is there an ad? And DJ Dale says, I don't have premium.
Fire him. Terrible.
And then finally, Patricia says, something bad happened at the party. It went bad. She says it to the mayor, to Tom and Wick. And Wick says, you can file that under deal with it the fuck later.
Terrible.
Bubba, what was your funniest bit of the week?
I went 9 out of 10. Should have gone 10 out of 10 because this episode made me laugh so much.
Or 10.2. Yeah.
Exactly. Mine was this evil man with a beard, somewhat flirting with Patricia, talking about, this food is so good. Is this your recipe, Patricia? If I said yes, would you believe me? And then from the top rope, out in the distance, evil girl screams out, you shouldn't. Oh, terrible.
For me, it was Dale's Spotify fail. Just magical. Can't you get a free trial of premium for the party? Holy cow. I'm surprised that party picked up later on. They'd have to get those 30-second ads in between the dancing.
Well, I mean, did he give the number as 800 songs that Patricia told him to get in the playlist?
Every song she's ever heard, Bubba.
Oh, my God. We heard from Ella Fieldy Pops earlier. We want to hear your funniest bit. Once again, go down on these YouTube comments and tell us your funniest, biggest laugh from episode 4. Catfish, this show is filled with kind of quirky, freaky people and freaky, evil demons and monsters. Mm-hmm. Who's your freak of the week?
Bubba.
Yeah.
Freak has many different kind of definitions / connotations.
Sure.
And fulfilling every single one of those definitions, I'm giving it to Patricia this week.
Catfish.
Absolutely. However you mean
Patricia,
it.
Patricia is the right answer for everything. But
every
freak,
question.
So tell me which way in freak Patricia was. Okay,
wearing the dead animal head, cutting up the dead animals.
No.
Her dancing was
getting freaky on the dance floor.
Her dancing was freakier than anyone's dancing, and there was some strange dancing there.
Did you love the moment where suddenly she was dancing in it's quick cut, and there was a flash frame of all the people watching her dance, kind of being like frozen and like, ugh. Loved it. My freak of the week is a true freak, and it's your buddy DJ Dale.
DJ!
This guy, what is Dale's official responsibility for the town, for Widow's Bay?
We don't know.
Fire this man. That's my freak of the week.
All right, well, I would just say he did get his freak on.
Oh, yeah.
But only in one way, and Patricia got it on in all ways.
Always. Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. Getting freaky with my girl. All right, so Catfish.
Yeah.
Patricia's reading this evil book,
Ooh.
and she had that worksheet that we just talked about where it's like, what do you love about yourself? What don't you love about yourself? Mm-hmm. So Patricia was obviously in a bad place when she's circling the parts of her body she didn't feel comfortable with. Very tough, very awkward. So
at least she only covered the front. She could have done the back too.
Evil Catfish. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's help my girl Patricia out. What should she have written under what do you love about yourself? And what should she have written under what don't you love about yourself?
All right, so just ask me the questions one by one.
Okay, so what should Patricia have written under what do you love about yourself?
That Bubba loves me.
Finally, you got a question right. Like, how many years have we been doing this? Thank you, Patricia, for that. No, not you. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So what should Patricia have written under what don't you love about yourself?
That Bubba loves me.
Catfish. There is a word.
You know what?
Well, there is a word.
Yeah, uh-huh.
There is a word for people like you.
What is that?
Fuckers.
I thought you were going to say truth tellers.
No,
you know
wait,
what,
Bubba? Cut his mic.
You know what?
Producer,
you know what?
cut his mic.
First of all, I just want to give people a peek behind the comedy
behind?
Because I want, as you were commenting on my answer to the first question, you knew I saw the look on your face, and you knew that I was going to give the same exact answer to the second question, and that is what I love about you, Bubba. You are a comedic masterpiece. You knew it. You knew it was going to happen. All right, Bubba.
No. Patricia, what do you love about yourself?
Yeah.
Just one simple word. Mm-hmm. Every single thing.
Okay, that is one.
What do you mean?
That is one simple word.
Every single thing.
What don't you love about yourself? My counting skills.
What? Let's just, enough of this silliness. People tune into this podcast to hear serious discussion time.
You're right. Okay, so what should have Patricia written under what don't you love about yourself?
Well, what she should have written is blank. The word blank.
The word blank. Okay, great.
To show them that she didn't fill it out. There was nothing there.
That is a single word. Well, you're right. No, she needs to write in the word blank so that they know that she didn't skip it. that was her answer.
Exactly right. Amen.
All right. So, Bubba, you know, we got a lot of feedback last week.
We did.
On the crazy, not crazy theory. We're going to come up with some crazy theories every week, as if there isn't enough craziness going on here. So let's start with our good old buddy Link Hogthrob, who says, pretty convinced this is mostly a mind game to mess with the mayor and suppress progress on the island. I can't quite figure out the pastor, though. Ooh. Fun ride so far. Well, more food for thought from the pastor of this episode, Link.
Yeah, I know. That storyline left us hanging.
Oh, damn it. Damn it. Damn it.
Okay,
damn it.
Well, hold
damn
on.
it. I did not see that one coming. That is my fault.
Let's go to Link Hogthrob's theory. And these are listener theories we're going to get to before we give you some of ours. So
great.
He is like a mind game to mess with the mayor and suppress progress on the island. This has gone beyond that. I mean, certainly by episode 4, Link, I don't know if it's still true, but I love that theory. And if there was a way it could spin around and become true, I'd actually love to see them try that. Once again, I'd trust them to do anything. So 100%. Here is another listener theory, Catfish. You ready for this one?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's from ShinnyX, who wrote, there's something about time passing differently on the island. Oh, you may love this theory, Catfish. Even though it was a passing joke, the cannibalism of the first settlers happened after 4 days. Then the innkeeper, as we noted on that episode, he's put in the room for only 30 seconds, and yet when they open the door 30 seconds later, he's asking for food. It seems very odd. So ShinnyX is with you, Catfish. I think we've got some sort of time warping dilation going on. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of, they are pulling tropes from movies we're talking about from 30 years ago. And the settings do not seem modern at all. The cars, the decorations, everything. So it kind of feels a little stuck in time. Yeah. And it's not the past. It feels like the past. There is something going on here.
For sure. So we can't wait to see it. ShinnyX, anybody, if you have more theories, go down in those YouTube comments, do it. Social media at PHQ. If you've got a big theory and need to send us an email, it's the word hello at doublepmedia.com. We can't wait to hear from you. We've already heard from a great double L.
Loyal listener?
That's right, Ella Fieldy Pops, who has a great bit of kind of thoughts to think about when you're trying to come up with theories. So Ella wrote, if you go to the history of the island, 43 passengers started to journey to the island, but only 42 arrived. I think, now Catfish says, I love this. Ella wrote, I think the first mayor was responsible for the death of his first wife during the crossing, and it's her. She is cursing it. She is the curse.
Okay.
I think that dead mayor's wife is seeking vengeance as the island men continue to commit violent acts on women and girls who are casually normalized by folks on the island. Jerry from the Historical Society celebrates historical murders of burning of witches by, we got them, we burned them. Mayor Tom is the only person to challenge this mindset. He frequently calls out how murders and atrocities are described, especially the women and how they're described. There are so many paintings depicting ships in stormy oceans alongside a small lifeboat. The least provocative painting in the inn shows a lifeboat and a small child in the waves reaching up to an oar held by someone we can only see their hand.
Oh, my God.
This is some great detail,
This
Ella.
is fabulous.
And then she has her final note, Ella wrote, check out the framed newspaper article in the Historical Society about the cannibalism. The capital letters at the start of each paragraph spell out SOS, damn us. Dang!
Oh, man. Ella is bringing it hard. Please, Ella, keep bringing it. Well, I'd like to watch it again, but I am not noticing all this stuff. And that is why our podcast would be nothing without you. Literally nothing. Ash T says, Mayor Tom couldn't be from the island. We talked about this a little bit last week.
We talked about that as a theory, yeah.
Yeah. He grew up visiting during the summer and lived with his mom on the mainland the rest of the time. He says that when he's talking to the clown ghost at the hotel. All right, Bub, so that's a correction for us. That's what we call a double C.
Double C?
Catfish correction, because it's always catfish who's going crazy.
No,
all right, so
that's just a theory. And Ash, thank you so much for pointing out that it would contradict what we've been told so far. So love it, love it, love it. Each week, Catfish and I are going to kind of talk through crazy theories, crazy ideas that the episode makes us think. And this week, the theory we're going to be talking about is the evilness, the wickedness, is it come from our world by the idea of burning witches and stuff, or somehow some sort of Satanism or sin, is a lot of times the root cause of the wickedness and evil. Or is it something otherworldly? This show keeps hinting at Stephen King, and his name popped up a couple times in this episode in the visual, if you just sit there and watch it. Stephen King, what do we know about Stephen King? He is very this world horror, but his kind of big overriding idea, even in something like it's this otherworldly force that came to Earth, or other dimensional force, like in the Dark Tower series, that is binding us in kind of creating evil here. So what do you think, Catfish? Where's the root cause of this wickedness on Widow's Bay come from?
Okay, I definitely think it's otherworldly, and it's something otherworldly that has made a very close study of horror tropes, because it is cycling through every single one of them, right?
R.I.P. Wes Craven has returned.
All right, so it's got all of them. Well, maybe Hellraiser next week. So that's what I'm saying. It's not just giving us the Hag. It's giving us the Hag. It's giving us Jaws. It's giving us Wicker Man. It's giving us The Fog. So it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to do, this is like the plague of horror tropes. So otherworldly is my answer, Bubba.
Okay, well, I'm also going otherworldly, but a bit like Ella Fieldy Pops, because, once again, that first shot just grabbed me. I started paying attention to the books. So in the very first shot, you see Patricia sitting on the back of the Pattiwagon, and it's pulling out. On those bus racks on both of the double doors that have opened, what do you see? You see something from Isaac Asimov. What is he known for, Catfish? Science fiction.
He's known for sci-fi,
Yeah. On the other opposite door, you saw something called the Stargate Conspiracy. On the bookshelves, you saw Stephen King's It. You saw Twilight, which admittedly is not otherworldly. But I was thinking, why were those kind of the ones you could easily see and tell? And that was the first time I ever thought, well, is there some sort of bizarre cosmic force? The good of Stephen King's Turtle, or the evil of his RF characters. So I don't know, maybe I'm beginning to think that if you want to explain how varied all these kind of evil things that have happened are, because you just pointed out they are all the tropes, but what is kind of a unifying theory that could bind all these tropes together? That it is something like it, which is otherworldly and can see our fears and bring them out. So that
could still slightly fall into my theory from last week, and that it's feeding on psychic energy from these people.
Yes. Well, I mean, certainly. What is Patricia's big fear? That I won't ever make it to the island. What is Mayor Tom's big fear? His big fear is that the island won't be a tourist haven. And it's almost like every evil thing that's there is to fight, once again, his goal. And so it definitely could be feeding off what people want. We want to hear your theories. I've said it multiple times. If you're on YouTube, we love it. Give us a like, give us a subscription if you're interested, and please go down and tell us your thoughts, because, as Catfish said, this is it. This is why we do the podcast, is to interact with you guys.
And Bubba, we already, like last time when the podcast wasn't even out and we had feedback, we actually have real feedback on episode 4 this week. First, from Patrick, Patman Spanego at Patman, who actually gave us some of the fake feedback last week and didn't even know, says, Patricia having a book entitled Your Turn seemed very ominous based on her being an only survivor of the Boogeyman. That is chilling, and he said chilling episode.
Patman on Blue Sky. Another great loyal listener, Gen X Cat Mom, who's at All Mod Cons with a Z on Blue Sky. She rated this episode lower than both of us, Catfish, but still incredibly good rating, 8.5 out of 10, triple P's.
Triple P's?
Patricia's pesky punch. Dude,
All right.
Do you want to drink that punch, Catfish? Oh, my God.
I'll try anything once.
So Gen X Cat Mom continues. She said, episode 4, I was cringing at her social attempts and overall weirdness, but the last 5 minutes got me into the show. again and
Oh,
again and
man.
again. So good. It is
All right.
cringy, but I love Patricia so much. Oh.
Oh man, it is you. But this is why you feel for her and you believe her. You know what? She's had it tough to be rejected by the Boogeyman. That's got.
Oh,
to
I thought
sting.
you were going to say rejected by the Mean Girls. Come on.
Well, all right, but both. All right, so we got some feedback from the first 3 episodes. A loyal listener, CamShay23, said, "We just started it, but I've only watched 1 episode. My husband is not a binger, LOL." Well, CamShay, you come back and listen to these episodes. We are loving your feedback. You know, you don't have to be a binger to watch it like once every 2 days, and then you'll be caught up by the time we do our next episode.
Hell yeah. A listener with the handle softclip_Q wrote, "I'm so excited for Double P to be reviewing this show. I really like this show a lot. It's not Severance or Silo good, but it's right up there close to them. I think it's got a chance to move up. I love the direction of the show. Thank you guys for the review." Let's pause and talk about softclip_Q's feedback, Catfish. We cover some really great Apple TV shows.
Yeah.
Severance and Silo have both had 2 seasons, so to really dive in and get you so excited. Catfish, softclip_Q is putting them right below. Is there any chance that you already have Widow's Bay as good as those 2?
I have Widow's Bay still below Severance. I have it already above Silo. Just because I just enjoy it so much more. But these are my things. Comedy, horror, it's completely my jam. I think Severance and Silo both have very, very... Well, Severance is just doing a great job with a story that maybe is not as complex as it appears. I mean, we've got these 2 different worlds, but there's lots of machinations going on. Silo's got a lot of things going on. So I don't know whether this show is going to be able to get to the depths of that, especially since it's playing with tropes. But for me, I already enjoy it more than Silo. What about you, Bubba?
Well, I'm going to actually answer that, but first I'm going to throw you a loop just to let listeners know if you're not subscribed, and we need you to subscribe. It helps us so much. We also cover Apple TV shows like Pluribus and also the great British spy drama Slow Horses. So, Catfish, I know you really love Slow Horses. Do you want to compare this first 4 episodes of this to those 2 as well?
I now it strikes me. I think it's just those shows just have so many more episodes, and that just allows you. That just inevitably, when you have more episodes, the quality's kind of gonna go up and down, and I feel like that's happened with those shows. And so far, this show is just on an upward spiral. But it's not fair to compare that, I think, to what those shows have already done.
Okay. As I'm doing, as you were answering, I remembered. Oh yeah, we covered season 2 of the murder mystery, The After Party on Apple TV. We've covered so much. It's kind of, I'm kind of like getting into deep trouble. So I will say, 4 episodes. I guess because those other shows have had more episodes, I will keep Widow's Bay just a smidge below them.
Yeah.
But Apple TV, oh my gosh, it knocks it out of the park, huh? This is really good. Holy smokes.
Not every time.
Yeah, we won't cover that. All right, how about some more feedback there, Kevin?
All right, so from Aezra27, that's Aezra, says, "Yes, someone is talking about this. Seems like not enough people know about this show." Bubba, I was thinking about that because we always like to do a show that people aren't really covering that much, something where we can share our enthusiasm and that we can be a big part of it. When we first started podcasting, we were like the 42nd show to be doing Game of Thrones. So I'm hopeful that this show is just going to gather more and more steam just because it is so good. And again, maybe I'm fooling myself, but I really hope. I guess when I saw Widow's Bay this week, it was still below on the list 3. It's below Margot's Got Money Problems, which is new, and I think something else.
Yeah,
but
Your Friend's a Neighbor. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully this gains some real traction.
When I was at this out of the country event, it was a family gathering, and there were, I guess, about 9 people in the room, and they some reason they brought up my podcast, and none of them had heard about Widow's Bay. And I started selling, but I think this is going to be a word-of-mouth hit. Can it be number one in Apple's charts? I hope so. It's really good.
I really hope so, too.
Thomas gave us this feedback. He said, this show is what people want. A good, scary, funny flick combined with great acting. No soap opera fun and games. Ooh, now that I'd be careful about. I think there could be some soap opera stuff coming up. But so far, what you said, good, scary, fun flick, 100%.
Absolutely. And Faramir 1 says, I saw the first 3 episodes. Never knew this was supposed to be funny.
Oh, man.
Now it does. It was being pitched as funny.
It wasn't pitched that well. Like, I don't think Apple's marketing went 100% for this, like they might for maybe something more expensive to make. But
right,
it's
or
very fun.
Something that had more higher profile actors in it. Although I consider Matthew Rhys high profile, he's not John Hamm.
I consider Kate O'Flynn the greatest actress in the world.
I know you do. Nick and Fortuna said, this show is so much fun. So many are homages, Easter eggs. So glad you're covering it.
Joel Smith said, special shout out to the Widow's Bay team for getting the word betwixt into an episode. But the Sea Hag's method of killing people is a choice. A very specific choice that made my skin crawl. Thank you, Joel. Love that feedback.
Oh, man. And Heath Santazo at Heath Actor said, I give episode 3 9 triple S's out of 10.
Triple S's?
Sea Hag sensual sensations. Oh, Joel, you're going to need to walk that one off.
That's so tough. How about our good friend, loyal listener from so many years back? He probably doesn't want us to let everybody know he's that old. It's Dooley's Left Legs on Twitter. Dooley wrote, I'm so glad you guys already watched this. I knew it'd be your cup of tea. More to Catfishes. Like he said, Bubba, year 7 is a little too low, but for the first 3 episodes, he gives them 8 out of 5 double R's.
Double R's?
Rescuing recliners.
Oh, that is an excellent one.
Pretty good. That's pretty good. At the start, I thought it was trying too hard to be comedic with very little horror, but I'm glad I carried on with it as come the second episode and the hotel shenanigans, it had the perfect balance. Good, wholesome, easy to watch TV. Who knew Matthew Rhys could turn such a great comedic performance in? I've only just finished The Beast in Me 2 weeks ago, but 30 minutes in, I'd forgotten that already. Great start. Heck yeah.
All right, Bubba. Well, this is exciting. I hope we get a lot more feedback on this episode, especially people who spend a lot more time noticing really cool things that neither of us do. We love that kind of feedback. Bubba, oh my God. So we got the team together now. Everybody believes and is terrified. Wow. So just a quick guess. Yeah. What do you think happens next? And what horror genre / trope will we have next week?
Okay, well, I hope this doesn't upset listeners. Okay. But, this week, we kind of did a flashback and understood, hey, what was Patricia going through? Why was that emergency call about the sunset mixer coming over the horn? Part of me wonders, especially after we know what happened to the Reverend, if next week we're going to have yet another kind of reset in time. And remember, we saw the Reverend running through the woods and hearing the sound and then coming up, and he was almost begging for forgiveness, right? And then being hung up there in his office. So part of me thinks we're going to see a flashback because that actor, Toby Huss, he's a great actor. He's been doing wonderful things. So I wouldn't be surprised if next week we kind of understand his journey in his, since we already know his end. That's my suspicion. What do you think?
All right. Well, no, look, the reason why I asked you the question first is because I had no dang idea, but I'm going to go along with that. And since we're going to go with a priest, I guess we got to go with an exorcist or Damien type thing.
Oh, man.
Or the Omen.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll have something like that.
Heck yeah.
Why not?
Reverend Bryce, he gone.
He gone. Oh. But like you said, he will be back.
He will be back. Hey, next episode, it's episode 5 entitled What to Expect on Your Trip. Now, the island is going to have a curfew, and even worse, the teenagers are coming back into the story.
Oh, no. Well, all right. That makes sense now with the whole Damien thing.
For everybody here at Double PHQ, my name's Bubba. You can find me on social media at my handle at FittinTrim. That's FITTENTRIM at FittinTrim on social media.
And I am Catfish. You can hit me up at G to the man. That's GEETOTHEMAN on Blue Sky and Instagram. And we'll talk to you next week on Double PHQ's coverage of Widow's Bay. I'm so glad we didn't come out with an easy title.
You know what? We're just going to call it Patricia.
Patricia.
Terrible jerk.